Hey guys, it's Alexandra. I'm also known as Crafts with Alexandra on Instagram and now here on YouTube too. Today I'm going to be doing my first YouTube video, which is going to be a Penpal Flipbook back to my good pen pal, Mikki, who's in BC. So here you just see me, I'm actually using a tea Mikki gave me. It's really great to stay refreshed when you're crafting. Alright, look at this beautiful letter I got from Mikki. Instantly when I saw it, of course, her projects are always amazing, but this one in particular really struck me. I loved her layering, and I loved the Tim Holtz inspiration she got from it. When I got Mikki's letter, I was so excited because it instantly reminded me of these really cool vintage maps I have that I've been dying to really crack into and use in my crafting. So, along with those extra goodies she provided, I thought, perfect. And so, my reply to her is travel-themed as well. Now, a lot of these videos I see Penpal with me, I sometimes feel that I'm not as good of a crafter because I often am second-guessing myself, going backwards and forwards, and I never really have a clear image going into these projects. That's kind of why I wanted to be able to show people my process, because everyone always sort of ogles at the final piece, but doesn't really see all the hesitation and all the mistakes and backwards and changing that really goes into these things. So here you're going to see that I'm just fiddling around with all my projects. I normally like to start with the piece that I feel most excited about. In this case, it's the first, the opening of the flipbook. So flipbooks are something I've recently gotten into that I'm super excited about, because what I love about crafting is really just getting in there with my hands, layering, going crazy. I'm a bit of a maximalist, not necessarily because, I don't know, it's just the style that I'm really drawn to. I love layering. I was a mixed media artist before I really got into pen paling. I mean, I guess it's very generous to say about myself, but I really love mixed media because I'm not necessarily a talented, detailed, fine artist, but I like to think I have a pretty okay eye. So layering things and putting things on top of each other, that's really my speed and something I love. So throughout this video, I'm just going to pop in and out and share some little behind the scenes of what I was thinking. We also have this gorgeous music underneath us to sort of take us through. Since this is my first video, I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you have any recommendations, do you care about me talking? Would you prefer that I just write captions? Personally, I like the talking. That's just me. I also studied journalism, so there's a bit of that coming out in me. But I really love hearing the thought process behind different crafters and their process and really what drives them to make the decisions they do, and sometimes undo the decisions that they do make, right? I also like being able to show you as I flip through and really go back and forth, because that's what my crafting process is like. Oftentimes I'll find myself getting stuck and not knowing where to go. But I like to kind of take a break and look back and just, I don't know, take some time. I often, in the past, I've taken videos for my friends. I find talking things out really helpful, so even if I'm just mumbling to myself or to my kitten, it all helps me get through. I think maybe I'm just going to pop in here and talk a bit about my craft supplies and where I've got them. So I've sort of always been a crafter, and I've accumulated a lot of stuff over the years. Obviously, over the pandemic, I found, and also sort of into university and getting careers that pay more jobs, I found myself spending and buying more stationery, but I think I'm at a pretty good place. Also, my family tells me that I'm at a place where I need to stop and sort of just enjoy the supplies that I have. But I've found stuff all over the place. Like I said about the maps, vintage and thrift shopping is one of my favorite places to get craft supplies. I find it so fun to give old things new life. I think that's so important. I also have to say that this tea Mikki gave me in one of her previous letters was so good, and I so enjoyed it. I love tea, and I love sharing tea with my pen pals. That's a good thing. When I approached Mikki to be pen pals initially, I said, hey, I know I'm also Canadian, But do you want to be pen pals and we can make each other these sort of more extravagant packages? That way it's cheaper, number one, but also there's less restrictions because we're still sending within Canada. So I'm in Ontario and Mikki's out in BC. She was like, yeah, absolutely, let's give it a go. And it's been so much fun connecting with another Canadian, but also connecting with someone who loves crafts as much as I do. She's been so great to talk to and get to know, and I love how small the pen pal community can end up feeling as you connect with different people, and you may not think you initially have a ton in common, but as you go, you find out you really do. And that's really one of the amazing parts about pen paling. I know myself as a writer, I do love pen pal letters and the letters themselves. It's really cool, I find, the balance between the crafting and the letter. Nothing should really overpower the other. It's really, I think, this symbiotic relationship. I love sharing my crafts, I love sharing my thoughts in writing, and I love learning about people. So pen paling really provides this great avenue, that's great for me to sort of express that. Okay, now we're going to see how I sort of move about the rest of the flipbook. So a lot of thinking is cut out, and I've decided on my layout. So usually I'll just use one of those paper cards that comes with the envelopes I buy and sort of finagle that into my flipbook. So today I am using 3 other envelopes and gluing them on the 3 other sides of this card, and that's what we're doing. So tutorial work is going to need some improvement in my future, I guess. But if that's something you guys like, if you'd like a more tutorial rather than this sort of walk me through a craft, I'm happy to make that as well. So I love a lot of flipping in my flip books. So I try and make as many little flips as I can. Here I used another card, so we got like a little cardception happening, a card and a card. And finally the last envelope, which I've decided is going to be my goodies pocket. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but my crafting usually happens in processes. It's not one day. So here we're gonna see, oh, I took a day off, I needed a break, I need to give my brain breaks, and now look, we switched from tea to an iced coffee. That's very good. I honestly didn't finish it. I can't drink a lot of caffeine. I get very, very jittery. So the next day, here's what my project's looking at. Like, it's all dried. Obviously, I have some glue crusties that I have to work around. So now I turned my attention to the letter. And again, the letter is one of my favorite parts, and I've found as I've pen paled that I just decorate the first page of my letter. I know a lot of people will decorate none of the letter or they'll decorate the whole thing, but I find just decorating the front first page is a great sort of medium. Actually, I think it might have been Mikki who inspired me that when she sent me a letter once with only the first page decorated. I was like, hey, that's a great idea, because you get the decoration, but you also get that space on the subsequent pages to actually write your letter. And obviously, I'm not going to be writing my letter on camera. I just think that's one of the more personal aspects of pen paling. So I'm going to be writing it off camera, but just showing you guys how I do end up decorating those pages. So again, I'm pulling in similar elements. I have all the elements spread out. My craft table always gets nuts, but my mantra is to clean between projects. So the table looks crazy and there's stuff everywhere, and luckily my family is very patient and they let me kind of go crazy with the project, and then I give it a big clean, I put everything away, and I'm ready for my next project. Obviously this is within reason, and I can't let my projects take up too much time. So usually a few days is what I'll stick it out to. And again, that's just giving my brain time in between. I don't want to push myself. I don't want it to feel like a chore. So really, I craft when I want to and when I feel like it. Okay, Okay, so now we're getting over to my goodie pocket, and like most people will tell you, and it's honestly the truth, goodies aren't the most important part of a pen pal. They're really sort of secondary, tertiary. They're not up there, but Mikki and I do love sending things back and forth just because we do sort of make these more extravagant letters to each other. I definitely don't do this for all my pen pals. I think it really depends on the relationship, and that's what makes it so cool. Some of my pen pals will send super, super long letters back and forth, and that's it. But that's sort of what it is. I personally tend to follow the lead of the person that I'm pen paling with. And I love having that difference between people because it makes, even though you're still doing the same task, I guess, which is pen paling, it feels different because every person you're talking to requires something different. I did really have a lot of fun with this one. Again, you can see I'm playing with similar elements. So I'll have my map, I'll have the cardstock that I've decided on, the washi tape, and then the elements. I usually set all those aside before I start my project just so I know what I have to work with, right? I don't have unlimited crafting supplies. So I do sort of want to know what I'm sort of trying to spread across the entire project before I get into it. This little pink label maker is one of my favorite things that I own. Funny story, I actually got it in Amsterdam when I was on a trip with my best friend. I'd wanted one for forever. I think I actually bought one once and maybe returned it. I used to buy stuff on a whim when I was younger. That's definitely something that I've managed to drop. But this came back with me all the way to Amsterdam. I was thinking ahead and I bought some refill tapes while I was there. And it's years later and I love using it in my crafting still. And I know it's a tool that I can buy refills with pretty easily online. Again, you'll see I ripped that little square, but rather than let it bug me, I took a little sticker and I made it work. Okay, so this envelope is where the letter is going to be. And this one, I definitely, again, sometimes with different shapes, having that little triangle cut out on the side threw me off a bit. And again, since I'm not so good with like clear space, which is something I'm working on, I do spend a lot of time here sort of layering. So I've cut a lot of that out and sort of just gone with my decisions, but just know, definitely wasn't linear, definitely a lot of back and forth. I find that I will test my stickers and my washi tape on how many times will you let me pull you up before you sort of say no more, and then I'll just push it down. Okay, so now you can see we had another jump in time. I needed a break after my last session, so now we're here on the third day, and I have a bubbly, which is a really fun drink and I think is Canadian, maybe because Michael Bublé does all the commercials, but maybe that's just a coincidence and it is an American company or whatever, and he just does the advertising in Canada. National treasure, Michael Bublé. But in here, we're working on my questions and playlist, sort of mail tag. And I used to feel sort of self-conscious of sending playlists to my pen pals because I have what I sort of consider maybe an eclectic taste in music. I listen to a lot of show tunes and Broadway, a lot of 60s music, and then a lot of sort of just like music from my childhood, so like 2010s music, I guess. But mostly I listen to Broadway music, to be honest. And that's not as common in the pen pal community. I find that a lot of people sort of have the same music tastes, which is why I think playlist works so much. But I decided sometimes that I make it my playlist themed versus like songs I listen to when I'm sad or songs that related to travel for this letter in particular. And that sort of helps. And I love when my pen pals share their music with me, so I hope that they appreciate mine as well. Here, I guess, is where you get to see a bit of my mixed media influence, where I'm writing out a quote that I've decided. What you can see is me Googling travel quotes on Pinterest. Pinterest is a great friend of mine. And now I just cut it out, stick it. The quote that I went with is, "Grateful for where I am, excited for where I'm going." I try to keep my quotes pretty neutral but positive in my pen pal letters. Unless I'm pen paling to someone I know really well, and then I might do something that I think is meaningful for them. I love quotes. I love sharing quotes. I think there's such a fun... I have a quote book. I think there's such a fun little snippet of language, I guess, if that's not too nerdy. So with that little square on top of where I had my mail tag underneath, I have yet again another space to sort of play with this letter. And this is one of the last spaces I'm kind of working on before we get to my envelope. So yeah, I think we're actually going to get to my envelope very shortly. Okay, actually, before my envelope, you can see me flipping through the goodies that I've selected for Mikki. Obviously, I had to give her a little piece of the vintage map, some memo notes, some little papers, stickers, I think washi tape, a paint chip, all the sort of stuff that's fun, I guess, in a pen pal. I love sharing my stationery almost as much as I love sharing my crafts and letters and all that. It's so much fun. All right, and there's the final flip through. So finally, here we are at the envelope. At this point, I'm dwindling down on supplies, and I'm also really unsure about what I was going to do going into this letter. I find the name and how you're going to do the name is one of the big decisions. So I decided I wanted to stamp Mikki's name and then cut it out on some craft paper. So all the rest of it sort of fits around that. I have also, you've seen I've been using those girl stickers everywhere. Those are really big in the pen paling world, and I really love them. I think they add a bit of character. So I'm just going to be layering here. Again, I've fast forwarded through all of my guessing and most of my guessing and checking. And this is the end clip where I've sort of already played with where everything is going. So that's what you see here. One more thing I wanted to mention is something when I was new that is wondering, I used to wonder about, maybe a trick of the trade, maybe just Alexandra not knowing, was I used to think, wow, look at all these gorgeous envelopes. How do they make it through the mail? And where do you write the address? And what about the stamps? So something that I've started doing more recently is actually not worrying about that with these decorative envelopes, and I will actually put these inside of another envelope, and that's where it'll be super plain. I'll put the name, address, and my stamps, and this pretty decorated envelope will go inside that. Now, that's not a rule, and it's not something everyone does, and it's not something I do with every letter, but definitely the ones where I want to layer more elements, and I don't know if they're going to make it through the postal service, that's something I will do. Otherwise, obviously, just leave some room for stamps and the address, and make sure none of your elements lift up too much because those can definitely get ripped off in the mail. And now we're going to see me playing around with stickers. Again, this is where you sort of see me being like, this is an empty corner, I need to do something. And I lift up and change these stickers probably about maybe 5 or 6 times before I finally settle on which stickers and how many I want and where do I want them. I like to say, like, don't be too stuck in your designs, but also don't let it necessarily rip and ruin it. For example, that bottom corner, you see that blue paper down there, that originally was supposed to be higher, but when I went to sort of peel it up, it was stuck. So I was like, okay, if things are stuck, I'll let them be and just work around it. I sort of think it's like, it's up to the crafting universe. Am I going to be able to lift this up and change it, or is it meant to be where it is? Okay, I think we have it. These are the 2 stickers I go with. Oh, isn't that cute? Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching my first video. Please give me any questions, comments, feedback, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.